Hello, everyone. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to remind you that my book, Drummers on Drumming, is available now on Amazon as both a paperback and an ebook. Based on the Big Fat Five segment of this podcast, where I sit down with my favorite drummers to discuss the 5 records and stories that shaped their approach to the instrument, this book is packed with insights from the drummers who redefined how we think about the modern drum set. You can grab your copy now by checking the link in this episode's show notes or simply searching Drummers on Drumming on Amazon. So thank you for all the support, and now let's get into the show. What is up? Welcome back to Big Fat Five, a podcast financially supported by Big Fat Snare Drum. This week's guest is Rob Humphreys, aka Birdie. Originally from New Mexico, Rob currently resides in Los Angeles and has quite the impressive list of credits, having played and or recorded with Billy Ray Cyrus, Celine Dion, Karon O, Kacey Musgraves, Leonard Cohen, Theo Katzman, Elle King, Scary Pockets. The list seriously goes on, and I absolutely love his playing, and we get into what I love about his presence in the studio right at the top of our conversation. But just go check him out. There's a link to his website in the show notes with a bunch of cool videos of him playing with a lot of cool people, some of them I just mentioned, and listen to it all before listening to the show. You'll be happy you did. So he's a cool damn dude. Maybe someday I can be as rad as him. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the 5 records that helped shape Rob Humphreys into the drummer he is today. Cheers.
Your teardrops with my shoulder when you cried. I called in sick so I could comfort you all night. Now you got cold feet, just let me break the ice, yeah. I did your laundry and I folded it real nice. So baby, I put in the hard work. Now I'm defeated, this down in the dirt.
So for the list, for the Big Fat Five, what was your criteria for a record to be in the running and then ultimately make the list?
Right. Well, I definitely tried to not overthink it, because if I did, it would have just taken way too long. Just, I would have had to postpone. I would have, just gone crazy.
Yeah. Just so everyone knows, I think I asked you like a day and a half ago,
right.
So you were very quick about this, so I appreciate it.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. So yeah, there was that, but I think that worked in favor of just like making it happen, honestly. So yeah, I just tried to I actually did a chronological order-ish, I guess, of like how I found these records, and they made the list just based off of like a high impact memory, I guess, So started trying to start when I was a little younger and just having these memories of like, oh, this record like really did something for me. And there's so many of those songs, those drummers, those records, but these are just 5, I guess, and they landed in a certain order.
It's also fun watching too you recently with like Pomplamoose and those little sessions of you kind of talking to everyone. And I think everyone should go check those out. You have such a fun, like positive energy when they tell you to switch things up. Or there was one where I forget the guy's name, but he was just so stoked on you doing a shaker, and you were like, dude, I was just doing like 8th notes, maybe 6th, whatever. And it's just so funny how we can overthink things, and some people don't think as drummers do, and it's just this little thing is the part. But I guess the reason of me saying this is just a compliment. I can tell that you're one of those dudes in the studio that is just down to clown, thinks quickly, will just take constructive feedback, and that's a lesson in and of itself there. So I think people should go check out your videos just for that. There's not even a question there. I just wanted to compliment you.
Oh, dude, well, thanks. I appreciate that. You know, the positive thing, especially with that group, it's really just a contagious element of those sessions. Like I've known
Seems like
Jack and Natalie. Jack and Natalie are like they're a husband and wife duo in that band. They've had that band for a long time. There's a rotating cast of different musicians that come in and out, but it stays kind of similar. Like I've been doing sessions for them for probably 7 years or so, 6 years maybe. But they're just the sweetest. They're so sweet and they're so talented too. And so you're thrown in this environment that is really, it's really amazing because it's so creative. Like things are happening in the moment. Like a lot of these videos that they're putting out are so cool because it's actually like, it's very accurate to like what is actually happening. You know, there's a demo, stuff is changing constantly. Everyone's giving ideas. Everyone like has that ability to give that like some sort of creative input or idea. So there's freedom there. There's so much freedom. And then Jack, you know, Jack Conti, who's, he's the husband part of the duo. He's such an amazing producer, you know, because he's like just bringing out the best of everyone with his stoke level is just through the roof, you know, like you said, it could be a tiny little shaker thing. And he can get so excited about it, but it really is so genuine. And so, you know, there's that ball that just gets rolling. And if it starts this small, you know, like something small at the top of the hill and it just goes down and down, it's just picking up all this stuff. And by the end, as long as the ball is rolling, it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's a totally amazing environment to be in, you know?
Yeah, it's like a mad scientist watching his eyes open up. It's inspiring for sure. Well, let's just hop into your top 5. And I'm so happy this is the first one. Surprisingly, I don't think this has ever been brought up on the podcast. So the album is That Thing You Do, the soundtrack. The artist is the Wonders / the Oneaters. Release year's 96. I remember going to Safeway and getting this VHS. The key track you want to talk about is That Thing You Do. And in the movie, it's Guy Patterson, but I had no idea this was Kenny Aronoff on the drums. That is blowing me away.
Okay, well, this took a long time to figure out. And if anyone is like listening to this and can fact check it better, because I mean, it's so difficult to find these credits. So hard.
Yes.
You know, and I've wanted to know for the longest time. But I kind of recently, a friend within a friend, through a friend, I had him ask, Mike Viola he's the singer on, he does Jimmy, you know, he's the singer. And I had someone ask him, I'm kind of throwing him under the bus, I guess. I don't even really know Mike. I know him a little bit, but he basically said that it was Kenny, at least on That Thing You Do. But only on one version of it, which I'm assuming is, you know, maybe like the Hollywood Showcase version.
Like the live
I don't
version?
know. But he definitely he played That Thing You Do, but also Mike and Adam Schlesinger had a band. It was like Scientist Alexis, I want to say. And one of Adam's demos was actually That Thing You Do. And the demo itself also made it in to the movie somewhere. And I don't know which version of it is. I mean, there's a few versions, I guess, that are played, but that's Adam on drums playing whatever that version is. Maybe it's like the talent show part, or I don't know. It's
or when they're recording in the church or something, it's like in the headphones where they're doing the clapping or something.
Exactly.
Maybe. Yeah.
Right. So I think those were the two drummers that played on That Thing You Do, some version, which are both in the movie. I mean, but I picked That Thing You Do because that was like the most obvious track, you know, but I mean, I had the CD and it was like the most vivid, like, this is like how it started for me. Like I watched this movie and I made drum sets out of the kitchen, like whatever I could find. And I would just play along as a third grader, you know, 96, I was in third grade. It was just literally the absolute beginning. And it's still, I mean, the movie, it still holds up. I think it's like the greatest music movie of our generation, you know? Yeah, man, I'm yet to meet Tom Everett Scott since I've been in LA. But if I did, I mean, I think I would lose it. Like that would be the most starstruck I could possibly be, I think, is if I ever got to meet him, you know?
Dude, it's Shades, man. He's the guy.
I know. I mean, he's the hero, you know. It's like it's so cool that like the drummer in this movie is really the protagonist, and he's just he makes it all happen. You know, it's such an amazing movie. I would love if anyone knows more about this. I would love for them to chime in and either like agree or correct. But I think there's this great drummer Billy Ward, also who I think taught Tom Everett Scott for the movie. Like he gave him lessons, and I think maybe he even made it in on like a recording or two. I mean, the soundtrack is pretty vast. There's like 16 songs on it, and there's also another drummer, Steve Schaefer, who's very deep in like the film television scene and has been for a long time. And I think he also played something. So I would love to know like more details, like more precise details, just because the movie's so like near and dear to my heart. But that's all the gossip that I've gotten about it.
Yeah, I remember the first song. I forget what the name of it was. I know the lyrics are like "Loving You Lots and Lots," and then you got "Mr. Downtown."
Yeah,
"Little Wild One." All those songs, man, they're just hits.
Oh, they're amazing. They're so good. I mean, I know all of them so well. I listen to it so much.
That thing you do, breaking my heart into a million pieces, like you always do. And you don't mean to be cruel. You never even knew about the heartache I've been going through. Well, I try to forget you, girl. Just so hard to do. Every time you do that thing you do, I know all the games you play, and I'm gonna find a way to let you know that you'll be mine someday. 'Cause we could be happy, can't you see? You'd only let me be the one to hold you and keep you here with me. 'Cause I try to forget you, girl, but it's just so hard to do. Every time you do that thing you do.
I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast knows and loves this song. And Kenny is supposed to come on the show soon. He was very busy this summer, so he's like, let's talk in the fall, which now it's the fall, so I should probably reach back out to him. But I'll ask him. Maybe he's like had to sign some NDA because they wanted to make the allure of the Wonders, you know, maintain its allure, I guess.
Right, totally. Yeah, I hope I didn't screw that up for Mike by saying something.
Yeah, man, you're blacklisted in LA now. Yeah. You are fucked.
Gosh. I just had to know. I wanted to know so bad.
I think Mike would get more screwed than you would, so you're fine. But all right, let's go to number 2. And this drummer talked about a lot, but not this record, and he's still not talked about enough, if you ask me. So the album's Elastic. The artist is Joshua Redman. The release year is 2002. Key tracks: Molten Soul, Still Pushin', That Rock. Or is it Still Pushin' That Rock is the name of the song? There you go. And the drummer is Brian Blade. So take it away, and then we'll listen to some whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess I was in high school when I found this record. So Brian Blade is very quickly and has maintained to be like my North Star. Like he's just, if I had to pick one guy, it's Brian Blade. My jaw is just always on the floor. Like I could have picked a lot. The reason I picked this record is just because it was my introduction to Brian Blade. It's the first thing I heard. But, you know, from, you know, Wayne Shorter to like that project Black Dub with Daniel Lanois and Joni Mitchell. I mean, there's just so many. And even there was like an Iron and Wine record he's on that is insane.
Of course.
But through all of these artists, these genres, and his own solo project, man, I've never been more inspired by someone. And, you know, there's these times like when drummers or musicians are so good that it does the opposite. Like it makes you just like want to go like bury yourself in a hole, like and quit playing music. I mean, like Brian, he does the complete opposite. And it's always been that way. And so I found this record from my brother. So I was in high school and getting into jazz band, like school jazz band. My brother was a trombone player. He's 2 years older, and he went to college and was like hanging out with just more musicians in a different city. And he told me about this record. I think he actually bought it for me and gave it to me. Like I had the physical CD. What's really funny is when I was making this list and like thinking about the chronological order, like I could have put this record, or I totally could have put at the same time like Dashboard Confessional or Under or something like that. But for the sake of the podcast, I wanted Brian Blade to be a part of it.
No offense, good choice. Good choice.
But yeah, I mean, it was just like I said, it's just my introduction to Blade, and he's just been my hero ever since. Through all of his musical endeavors, and seeing him, like I was asking you earlier, watching him play too is like a totally different animal. It's something that I mean everyone should really try to experience, because it just goes deeper and weighs so much more heavy than listening does. Honestly, it's a total experience, and it's definitely worth like buying an expensive ticket or driving or whatever, right? Because it doesn't happen a ton, honestly. And so anytime he's playing, man, it's hard to drop everything I'm doing now with a 4-year-old, but I've always tried to drop everything I'm doing just to and make time to go see him play. Because it's really, really amazing. He has like an elven spirit, there's like a spirit of Elvin that's very much alive in him, amongst like many other great drummers before him, which I know he loves and looked up to. But I feel like he's one of the few that like really has an Elvin spirit and is still doing it. Maybe people will chime in and say that's totally not true. There's this person, but maybe that's just the way I interpret it, especially after seeing him play so many times. Yeah, he's just like, there's something like, everything is a surprise. Like I think he even surprises himself when he plays, especially when you watch him. You see him like things just happen and he doesn't know that they're going to happen, and I know what you mean. It's just this overarching joyous emotion that, and it just pours out of him when he plays. It's really, really amazing.
All right. So you want to listen to Molten Soul or Still Pushing That Rock?
Why don't you do Still Pushing That Rock? That's like a faster. There's a little more like Blade-isms.
All right, here we go.
There's something very unresolving about his playing. There's a lot of tension. He's really great at just like making something really tense and just like building it and building it and building it, which I think is really exciting to hear.
Sure.
bumped into Joshua Redman, the saxophone player, at a bar in LA. Like it's probably 10 years ago. It's so funny because I'm a Joshua Redman fan, but I wound up like got the courage to go talk to him. And all I did was just gush about Brian Blade. I think I made him feel so awkward because he's like, "Oh, cool, thanks, dude." You know that?
Well, but I mean, I would be excited about that. Like if it was a project, it's like maybe he's really bad at taking a compliment, like most artists are. So maybe he was like, okay, I'm getting praised for my work, but we're not talking about me. We're talking about someone I work. So maybe that was like the best way you could have done that. Who knows? Yeah, no, I definitely want to go get this record. I always try and whenever I'm in like record stores and stuff, I try and look for Brian Blade and just Google different things he's been on because he's a great drummer to have on vinyl because his stuff sounds so good. Every record he's on is like sonically so pleasing. So,
yeah, it really is. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so number 3, the album's Rejuvenation. The artist is The Meters. The release year is 1974. A lot of key tracks. People Say, Just Kiss My Baby, Jungle Man, and Zigaboo Modally. So take it away.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like you could literally play anything. I guess the theme I have with like all these picks I'm discovering as we're talking about it is it was like the first time that I was actually introduced to this drummer. You know, it's like I didn't know who this person was until I heard this. Yeah. You know, but actually in this case, I mean, I had heard the Meters before, you know, like at some point in my life, and I don't think I ever really gravitated towards it. But I moved to LA. And one of my first gigs was working as a teacher's assistant at a music school here. And one of the teachers had tipped me off, was like, you've got to go see Zigaboo play. He's playing tonight at the Mint. You know, there's that club at like Pico.
That was
Fairfax
my first
area.
place I ever played in LA, yeah.
Dude,
to the
mine
bartender.
too. It totally
to the
was.
bartender.
Mine too.
Yep.
But he was like, and I didn't even really know who Zigaboo was. Like, and he mentioned the Meters. I was like, yeah, I've heard the Meters. Like, I've heard Sissy Strut before. And so he was just like, just trust me. You gotta go. You just gotta go see him play. Like, it's gonna be an amazing experience. And so I got a ticket, went down there, and not really knowing like what I was gonna see at all. He just convinced me. He was like, you just got to make sure you do this. And I was new to LA. I was trying to just go do stuff like that. So I remember walking into the Mint, and Toss Panos was setting up Zigaboo's drum set. And I had seen him like a week before at the Baked Potato and just like burning, you know. And I was very much in school mode, I think, too, like practicing all my licks and really, you know, into like into notes and you know, just like schooly stuff. I was that was like my path at that time. And so like Toss was like setting up his drum set, you know, which I thought was wild to see. And then I like kind of looked through the crowd and I saw James Gadsden. Like James Gadsden was just standing in the front, just like waiting for the show to start. Man, and then he played with the Kimmel Band. So it was like Jeff Babco, Toshi, and Jimmy Earl, like these other amazing players, which I was more familiar with, honestly, more familiar than Zigaboo. Dude, and when they started playing, like when Zigaboo started playing, it just changed me. It was like everything that I thought was cool, everything that I had learned, everything that I thought I knew or even felt comfortable with was just totally out the window. It really blew me away. I think it really changed me, like just this one night watching him play and having no preconceived thing like going into it. Like it really, like the way he looked when he played. I remember him, I think he like held his drumstick like traditional with his right hand for a little bit, you know. And it was just, everything I knew was just like, you don't know that. That's not what it is, you know. Mm-hmm. So that was a big it was just a big landmark, I think, in just like learning how to play drums, you know.
Yeah, speaking of James Gadsden, when I had him on the show, 2 years ago now, he was wearing a Zigaboo shirt when he came on the show. So I know Gadsden is a huge Zigaboo fan. Very proud of it. So
yeah, he was literally like dancing and singing. Like he was like, I think people say, I think I picked that song because I remember Gadsden just like singing it at the top of his lungs and just dancing in the front of the mint, like while they were playing it, you know? And I thought that was just so cool. Thought it was so rad.
So do you want to play People Say or Just Kiss My Baby, Jungle Man? Which one were you thinking?
Sure, we'll do People Say.
All right, here we go.
He does a lot of like hand to hand. There's not a lot of like doubles at all. There's a lot of like just single, his hands are going like this, but it's just right, left, you know? And he just kind of has this groove with it.
Yeah.
Dude, and he's like, he crashes cymbals on every bar. I mean, that blew me away when I saw him too. He was like literally hitting a crash cymbal at every single bar, you know?
This is the cardinal sin, but if he does it, it's cool.
Yeah, he did it. There's some great footage. Maybe you've seen. I think it's like the only 70s footage of the Meters on YouTube. But it's like Look Up Pie and Jungle Man. It's so worth checking out. He's like playing the most junkyard of a drum set you've ever seen, and it just sounds so good. It feels so good. You know? Picture James Gatson just getting down. Like he's hearing this and he's just losing it, you know?
Yeah. That's worth the pick right now, just imagining that.
Yeah.
All right, so number 4, the longest title I've ever read on the podcast. The idler wheel is wiser than the driver of the screw, and the whipping cards will serve you more than ropes will ever do. Fiona Apple, and release year's 2012, key tracks Left Alone, and this drummer's Charlie Drayton. So, take it away.
Yeah, so this was the first time, again, that I had ever heard of Charlie Drayton. And this was, I don't know, this wasn't even that long ago. Maybe like 2016. You know, I mean, I was very familiar with Fiona and like Tidal and The Extraordinary Machine. Like those records were great. And, like the John Bryan production. But this was totally new to me. And so my buddy, this guy, Aaron Redfield, I don't know if you know Aaron or if he's been on the podcast before. Wonderful drummer, great friend, very much like an encyclopedia type, like where he knows a lot of drummers. He knows, you know, when they were around, what they did. Yeah, he hit me to this. He was like, you just got to check this record out. You know, this is really amazing. It just kind of blew me away. Like, it's totally freaky. It's like pretty center Fiona Apple, like very, very intense. The song is very like emotionally distressing, you know? And Charlie actually produced this whole record. And what's so cool is it's like, I think he just did such a good job, not with just like the drumming on this one particular song. Like the whole record is amazing, but just really producing in a way and like letting Fiona just be Fiona. And the performance, this particular performance, I love because it serves the song so well. Like, you know, I start listening to it and I just get like tense. Like it starts like stressing you out because it's, but in like the best way. That sounds crazy. You know, you're just like the hair starts like standing up on the back of your neck. And and it's a bit of a journey. And I feel like what Charlie did was not only like crazy creative, but it just really like follows Fiona, like wherever she goes, like he just goes there too. It's so cool.
Hell yeah. Well, let's listen to it. Here's Left Alone.
Yeah, and it starts out with like a drum solo, you know? Like, what a ballsy thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's just mean, you know?
You made your major overtures when you were showing Dover ton of mutt. And I was still a dewy petal rather than a moribund slut.
Love this.
My love wrecked you, you packed to twirl your skirt at the palace. It hurt more than it ought to hurt. I went to
She's
work
so
to
cool.
cultivate a callus. And now I'm hard, too hard to know. I don't cry when I'm sad anymore. No, no. Tears calcify my tummy. Feels cold inside. How can I ask anyone to love me when all I do is beg to be left alone?
This is so mean.
Oh, when I tried to love, and I could love the same man in the same bed in the same
I didn't even know you could like play a song like this, you know?
Totally.
It never bothered me before, not until this.
Or that you ever should. But, you know, like it just like really flew in my mind when I heard it.
I'm hard, too hard to know. I don't cry when I'm sad anymore. No, no. Tears calcify my tummy. Feels cold inside.
I'm just gonna play the whole song so that people can hear the story of what he's saying.
How can I ask anyone to love me when all I do is beg to be loved? When all I do is beg to be loved? When all
It's definitely a journey,
beg to be
you know?
loved?
So. It really feels like a performance too, you know? Like,
My ills are articulate, my woes are granular. The ants weigh more than the elephant. Nothing is manageable. So couldn't we skip the valedictories? I could see a door there, shut it and forget my number, 'cause I'm hard, too hard to know. I don't cry when I'm sad anymore. No, no. Tears calcify my tummy. Fears go inside too. How can I ask anyone to love me? And all I do is beg to be loved. And all I do is beg to be left. And all I do is beg to be left alone.
Yeah, you have no idea what's gonna come next. It's awesome.
and so that was the first time I even heard about Charlie Drayton, was just listening to this song and then checking out the rest of the record. So that was like before I even like heard about like the Expensive Winos, you know, or anything else that he had done. So He's one of my favorites. Absolutely incredible.
I still don't know much about him. So, I mean, I've heard of the Expensive Winos, but I've never really gone. I didn't know that was Charlie Drayton on. I never put two and two together.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, so like the whole deal with that band is like I don't even know a ton either, but him and Steve Jordan will like swap. Like he'll play bass and Steve will play drums, and they'll swap roles, which is so cool. There's some great footage, some great videos on YouTube that you should totally check out. But
I need to write this down. I need to have the videos of Zigaboo from the 70s, and I need to have a video of him and Steve Jordan swapping instruments. That'd be funny. I'll put them on the show notes. So people listening, I'll figure it out. So, but all right, well, let's go to number 5, and this is a previous guest. We've had Jordan on the show. So the album is By the Wheel. This is a newer record. So the artist is Theo Katzman.
Yeah.
The release year is 2023. The key track, listen to the whole record, but it's She's in My Shoe. And then, yeah, of course, past friend of the podcast, Jordan Rose. So take it away.
Yeah, I thought it would just be cool to put Theo and Jordan in this list because, I mean, honestly, I think Theo is like one of the greatest artists of our generation.
Yep.
And others. And honestly, and Jordan too. I think Jordan is one of the most amazing drummers around right now. I think he's absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this particular record, I mean, I've been friends with Theo for a while and have followed his musical journey, and we've made some music together.
I was gonna say you've worked together, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he came over for like, I don't know what it was. Like when it was down in San Pedro, he came down and hung out for lunch or something one time, and this was right before, I think right after he finished recording Be the Wheel, and I was like just diving into remote recording, like recording myself. And we were just talking about the insecurities of that, at least that I was feeling like doing this for the first time. It was so, didn't enjoy it as much, or at least for a long time. And because I was just so insecure about like being the only person in the room and like wanting to, I just hear every little mistake, you know, and I'm just trying to make everything perfect. And I'm alone in the room, so I can easily do that myself, you know?
Yep.
And then we were talking about him making this record, and so they did this up in Michigan. Like, and Theo has like a little studio up there. I think he's still putting it together, but they recorded in a small room, and everything is just bleeding in everything. You know, it's like vocals and acoustic guitar, and there was upright piano and Jordan on the drums, and they were full front to back takes. You know, like that's what we were talking about, and he was trying to like, he was hearing me talk about my insecurities of like recording by myself and doing a whole take and being okay with like, or not being okay with like screw ups or whatever and feeling weird about it. And what he was trying to relay to me, which I thought hit me very profoundly, was that like doing a whole take, like recording yourself, whether you're singing or doing anything, you do a whole thing from front to back. You definitely can edit it. I mean, it's like our ears kind of trained for that now, like with the way pop music is going. And of course there's like other forms of music where editing can be really important, like chopping things, and it's a sound. Mm-hmm. But as far as like a performance, when you edit something, what you're really doing is like taking a piece of you out of it, even though it can like sound more clean or more polished. When you take a piece of yourself out of it, it's kind of like you're not really letting yourself just be itself. You know, it's like actually like recording a whole take and putting it out there or doing whatever with it, and like just letting it be is really like a musician's way of like giving yourself self-love, like looking at yourself in the mirror and being okay with it, you know, which is a really difficult thing to do. He was so much better at like talking and explaining this kind of stuff, you know, I
thought that was rewarded really well. So
it just really hit me, you know, like it really hit me, and it really like touched on what I was feeling. And it's something that I try and remember, you know, now, like it's okay. It's like okay to be ourselves, and like mistakes can be totally okay. Like that's you. It's just what happened there. Like that was all you. And like, you can totally be okay with that. You can love that, you know, and that's kind of important. So that's like, you know, that was just like one of the more recent like knocks across the head where I was like, oh, you know, and it coming from Theo, I love this record so much. And Jordan's playing on it is so incredible. I don't know if you've ever met Jordan. I know you said he's been on the show, but he
Not in
really
person,
is
no.
he's this gentle giant. Like, I don't know how tall he is, but I feel like he's twice as tall as I am, you know? And,
Yeah.
and his playing is so beautiful. There's great footage of, I think, all of his songs, or at least most of them, but especially this tune. He's just playing so quiet and just preserving every ounce of like feel that he has, every ounce of sound that he has. And I'm sure, you know, making the mixer very happy under the circumstances that it was recorded. But I
Sure.
really thought his playing is really, really beautiful. And it's just cool, like, listening to it after hearing Theo talk about his sentiments on it, you know.
Well, here we go. Here's She's in My Shoe.
She's in my heart. She's in my brain. She's in the clouds. She's in the rain. The window's down. Radio's on. And on every station, she's in the song. There's a lion in the lion's den. There's a fountain flowing from my pen. There's a road that I walk, and she's walking it with me too. She's in my shoe. I tell myself this could be worse. This could be a blessing, baby, dressed as a curse. The samurai keeps an open wound. Now I know why. Yeah, I've got one too. There's a lion in the lion's den. There's a fountain flowing from my pen. There's a road that I walk, and she's walking it with me too. She's in my shoe. I know that time will do its thing. My winter heart will warm with spring. And when it thumbles and floods my eyes, I will sail her lifeboat to the other side. There's a lion in the lion's den. There's a fountain flowing from my pen.
For the sake of time, let's just go to your honorable mention. I do want to get this in. So this is Fire Eater by Rusty Bryant, and this song came out in 1998 from the album of the same name, Fire
I
Eater.
think that might have been a reissue.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's a 70s.
Oh,
like
cool.
a
There you go, probably.
71. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. But Idris Muhammad is the drummer. Man, another great drumming buddy that I totally look up to. This guy Kevin Stevens showed me this song, this record, and this was the first time I'd ever heard Idris before. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just kind of blew me away. Like, there was another record. There's like a Schofield record that he also played on that I listened to a lot, but this was the first, and it's really just amazing. Like, yeah, I don't know. His playing is it's like it has a similar Zigaboo thing, but there's like a different personality within it. But again, it's like a lot of like, I feel like he does a lot of like the right, left. Like there's a part maybe where you should start is like at the organ solo or the end of the organ solo.
Because yeah, it is a 9-minute song or almost 10-minute song. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a really cool, like I think it's like one of my favorite solos is this organ. I forgot who played organ, Bill something. Yeah, super long organ solo, and Idris just like goes with him. Like it just keeps going and going and going, and there's never, like they're just like filling the bag with steam, like that's like the analogy that I like to use, and there's just no steam coming out. Like it's just filling and filling and filling, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It keeps going. It's like you don't want it to end, and then you should it might just be cool for me to shut up and you just listen to it.
Hell yeah. And you can tell that bass drum is so, like, he's peaking it the whole time. It's, like, distorting the whole... The engineer was like, dude, when we sound checked, you were barely feathering this, dude. All right, well, that is your Big Fat Five with the honorable mention. Some people don't like to do this. I will give you the opportunity if you want to do some self-promotion. How can people find you? Or you can say... screw that, I just want to go.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say screw that, I just want to go, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, I guess I have an Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram.
Sure,
sometimes I put things on there, not really like touring right now or anything like that, but coffee and food and
your website, you have an extensive list of who you've worked with, so people can go check out your discography. You've worked with a lot of people.
Yeah, I guess, I've been in LA for moved here in 2009, 15 years, coming up on 15 years. Man, it's so funny. When I first moved here, after I got past 5 years, I started counting the years by the banner on Pink's hot dogs. I would drive by Pink's hot dogs and they would say 68 years of Pink's hot dogs. And then the next year is 69 whatever. And so I think I moved here when it was 65 years, something like that. So wow. That's how I started counting.
Well, Rob, this was really fun, dude. I really appreciate it, man. I'm literally going to go get all those records. Those were, yeah, there definitely is a through line of drummers that break the mold a little bit and do their own thing, but also serve the song. So those are all great choices, man.
Hey, well, thanks so much for having me, man. Like I said, I'm a fan of the podcast and a fan of you and how you do it. So it's totally an honor to be here.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, ditto. I'm happy it finally worked out. Yeah, we'll keep in touch, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Right on. All right.
All right.
Later.
Peace, dude. And that's the show. If you're listening on a platform that allows ratings and reviews, do that. It helps more people find the show, so it'll get bigger and better, and hopefully I'll have a chance to sell out one day. But you'll be an OG listener that can brag to all your friends. Anyways, why don't you go and check us out at bigfatsnaredrum.com and follow us on all the socials. Just search for Big Fat Snare Drum and you will find us. The show is edited in part using iZotope RX Audio Editor. It's amazing, so go check that out at iZotope.com. And thanks again to Gunnar Olsen for the theme music. Bye!